Hello and welcome to the video demonstration on how to raise a requirement on Fieldglass. Once you've logged into your Fieldglass account, you'll be presented with a screen similar to the one that's currently being presented right now. Just to confirm, this is a testing site and any information available here and any data being shared in this presentation is purely for training purposes. So once you've logged in, to raise a new requirement, please go down to the bottom left-hand side of your screen to the Quick Create button here, and select that, which will then take you through to a new page. And from here, underneath contingent labour, you can then select requirement for worker. This will then reload a new page, and from here you'll be able to select a relevant template in order to process the requirement. There is a blue box here that will just prompt you in terms of actions around IR35. You will likely already have the IR35 to hand and you'll know if the role is in or out of scope of IR35 before. But if you don't, please do either use this link here to do the test determination to determine if the role is in or outside of IR35. Or alternatively, if you have an internal team that manages on your behalf within the area that you're based within, please contact that team to ensure that the IR35 has been done and ask for a copy if that's needed, if it is deemed as out of scope of IR35. The requirement owner will always pre-populate to yourself. So this is on my name at the moment, Tyler. If you are raising on behalf of another user, or if you're a central team raising on behalf of another user, this is a field that you can edit. And from here, you can type in the user's name. And as long as they have access to Fieldglass at a higher manager level account, you'll be able to raise a request on their behalf. For now, I'll leave it in my own name. And if we scroll slightly further down, you can see here that we've got 3 pre-populated templates that I've used before. Fieldglass is very intuitive, and the more you engage with it, the more that it will preempt your requests. So if I was recruiting for any one of these positions, I have the opportunity to select, which means I can jump back into the template itself. Alternatively, if I haven't used Fieldglass before or none of these are suitable, I can scroll slightly further down. From here, I have the option to look through the company templates. They will appear in alphabetical order, but you have the option underneath the title in the Enter Criteria box. You can manually search job titles, which will then pull up the relevant templates. We have almost 800 on the PSR framework. However, that does not mean that we have a template for all roles, and we may require you to use what we call a best fit template, where we use something that's in rough guide with the bill rate, as you can see here, but the job title itself might not necessarily be an accurate reflection on the role, but we can then tailor the template with further information provided from you before we go out to market. So if I was looking for a project role, I can type in project, hit enter on my keyboard, and it will pre-populate with job titles that I can then select from, and it'll also give you a rough guide rate in terms of bill rate for us to go out to market with. If you are a client that has a predetermined budget before you go out to market, so you know the day rate that's to be offered, and it's significantly lower than any of the rates here, please select a template that is in a rough guide of the rate that you're looking to offer. Ideally, we want to be offering below the bill rate to go out to market. If you have a rate that is significantly higher potentially, then you'd be looking at using the templates with a higher rate that we can go out with. I also want to point out here any templates that have any client-specific names in front, such as MOJ, NR for Network Rail, and you'll also see MOD, NDA, and potentially Home Office. These are client-specific templates, so unless you are that client, please avoid using those templates. Please just use these generic templates here that we have available. So if I was looking for a digital project manager and the rate I had to offer a day was £600, it would likely be that this would be the template that I would then pick. So if I click on this big hyperlink, it's going to take me through to a new page, and here is where I'm going to input the relevant information, and this is the final step in the process. Again, it's going to prompt you here with that blue box around the IR35, just ensuring that you have that ready to hand. And as we scroll through the page, anything with a red asterisk are boxes that you'll need to complete in order for you to submit or complete this role for later. Anything that's optional, I'll run through with you now on the call. And if you have that information to hand, you can input it. If not, you do have the option to keep scrolling on. So start and end date. This will give us a rough indication as to when you want this worker to start, providing all onboarding is completed before then. And the end date gives us an indication as to how long that contract length is going to be. So if I wanted this worker to start early January and I had a 6-month contract, I had the option here of an edit duration. I can scroll down 2 months, type in 6 and hit apply duration, and it's going to work out the end date for me. Alternatively, if I have a hard stop end date, such as new financial year, I have the option of manually selecting that, and it'll actually work out the duration for me as well. Number of positions will pre-populate to 1. If you have a higher head count, please do update this. The title will pull through with the template title, so you can see it's a digital project manager, and a job description will also pull through. This is generic. If you do have a job description to hand, feel free to cut and paste this out and input your own job description. Alternatively, if you have a job description to hand via a Word document or PDF, I'll show you where to attach that at the end. Is travel required for this position? This will either be yes or a no. If it is yes, please do pop in how much travel time percentage. So I've put 50% for now. Customer entity, this will pre-populate with the client that you're aligned to. So for training purposes, I've been aligned to the Home Office. If you're aligned to another client, that client should pull through for you. Location. Please always select the location before you select the office site. So location will refer to Manchester, London, Birmingham, etc. However, if your role is home-based, you do have the option for selecting home-based, and you can give a rough indication as where within the UK, i.e. East Midlands, Inner London, etc. that you can select. But if you're not sure, you can just select the top one and it's going to get rid of the office site. And when we find the relevant worker, we can always relocate where home-based they are on their work order. If you have a specific location in mind, such as London, you can type that in, select Inner London, and then from here you have the opportunity to type in an office site as well. That should pre-populate for you. Business unit, again, this should pre-populate for you. If you're aligned to multiple, this is a drop down, and any other business units that you're aligned to will populate here. If this is incorrect, please do reach out to our help desk team and we can ensure that the right business unit is allocated to you. We now have a question around IR35. So this is going back to the blue prompts earlier. So if the role is deemed as in scope of IR35, please drop this down, select the first option. If you have a out of scope IR35 requirement, please select from any of the 3 options here below. Now I'm going to leave it as inside IR35. Client reference number, this is an optional field. If you don't have a reference number internally that you use, you can scroll on. But for those of you that may have a business case number, an internal reference number that you need to pop in, please do populate that in here. Do you wish to review this requirement before selected approval chain receive it? If you're raising it on your own behalf, select no. If you are raising it on behalf of another user within your team, please select yes, and they will also receive this requirement and review the information that you've inputted. I'm raising on my own behalf, so I'm going to leave that as no. Region, this is going to relate back to the location that you've put in. So we selected London, so we're going to select Inner London here. Requisition type, we have 4 options on the PSR framework. New requirement and nominated is the most common that you'll be using. New requirement requires us to go out to open market competition for you on your behalf, where we screen and source candidates, present them to you, and you'll then go through to interview and hopefully offer a candidate. A nominated, also known as pre-identified, is a worker that you've already pre-selected without any agency supply, and you're looking for the PSR framework to purely onboard this worker and payroll them for the length of their contract. I'll select new requirement for now. Reason for hiring a contingent worker. As you can see here, this is a multiple choice, and it's whichever applies to the scenario that you're in, and we do have another option if you feel like none of these are suitable. The next three boxes are optional. However, if you have selected a nominated requirement, the name of the nominated worker you will need to input, as we will need to identify the name of the worker that you're looking to engage with. But if you have left it as a new requirement, you can leave that as blank. Any additional information specific to this role, again, if you've selected nominated worker, please do put in the nominated worker's contact information, i.e. an email or their personal phone number. This is so we can reach out to them and let them know that we've received the formal request from yourselves as a client to process this nominated worker in question. For now, I'm going to leave these as blank, as this is a new requirement. Will there be any flexible scope for working in this role? This, again, is optional. Have a look at the drop downs and select whichever is apply. If you're not sure at this moment in time, you can leave as blank. I'll put yes, working remotely may be possible. Desired skills. If you've selected a nominated worker, you can completely move on from this section. You won't need to fill these in. However, if you have raised a new requirement, so you want us to go out to open market, you can use this function to then narrow down on the top 1 to 5 skills that you're looking for us to go out to market with. So if you drop down, as you can see here, you've got a few options that you can select from. And from here, you can select the relevant skills that you're looking for. And you have up to 5 skills that you can then select and input here if you feel that's necessary. We do encourage you to do this if you have got a new requirement and you want us to go out to open market competition. Are there any health and safety requirements or hazards associated with this role? So red asterisk, so you will need to complete this. And it's either a yes or a no. If you've marked as yes, you will need to, underneath in this box, complete any further information around health and safety considerations. We will share this with any prospective candidates that we screen and also reiterate at offer stage whilst they're onboarding as well. For now, we'll leave that as no. Next, we have a question around AWR, which is Agency Worker Regulations. So this is asking whether or not if there is a directly employed, so a perm equivalent, in an equivalent role within the organisation at the time. This is either a yes or a no. To confirm, this will not affect us going out to open market for you. SCDV rate tolerance applied. This is optional. Please ignore this field and move on. Is the role in or outside of R35? So we have a few options here. However, under the PSR framework, you'll either be using in scope or out of scope. It's in scope now. Level of screening. Again, this is another drop down. Under the PSR framework, mandatory onboarding is BPSS. That's the bare minimum that we will do. However, if you are a client that requires a high level of clearance, such as CTC, DV, EL1, NPBV 1 to 3, or SC, you do have these options to select here as well. For now, I'll leave as basic disclosure. Grade is optional, but we do encourage you to fill this out. We also have it again underneath as a red asterisk field, so you can select the relevant grade. Hiring manager contact telephone number. Please put in the relevant contact number for the hiring manager who will be monitoring this ongoing recruitment. Alternatively, if an email address is the better form of communication, please pop in that email in this box here too. I'll just put in some zeros, we can move on. As we come to the end of the page, there's only a few more boxes that you'll need to complete. Cost allocation. For those of you that are aligned to a cost centre, so you report and invoice weekly, consolidated, you don't need a PO. You'll have a cost centre aligned to your account, and this should auto-populate through. If you are aligned to multiple cost centres, if you drop this down, you'll be able to see the relevant cost centres that are aligned to you. And from here, you can select the right one. If, however, the cost centres that you have available aren't suitable and it's a new cost centre that you need to add, please do reach out to us and to our help desk team. We can either get that new cost centre set up, or alternatively, if it's already on the system, we can get that aligned to you. And last but not least, we have attachments. And here, if you click on the blue hyperlink, you can either drag and drop in, or you can manually choose files. And here, as a bare minimum, we would only advise that you attach the job description, if you have one to hand. If your role is classed as outside of IR35, you will need to share the IR35 assessed determination form. We will need a copy of that. And if you are a client that requires a copy of the business case or the business case approval, please do attach that here as well. Once you have the relevant attachments, you can hit this blue attach button and they will then pre-populate here. And as long as you've completed everything with a red asterisk, you will have the option to submit this or complete for later. You can complete for later if you're not necessarily ready to go out to open market as of yet, and you're raising in preparation. Though for most of you, you'll be raising immediately and want us to go out straight to market. So you can go ahead and submit. And this will then take you through to the final page. And here you'll be given a requirement ID, which is this PSR unique identifier. And we will create this through the life cycle of the recruitment with you. So you'll see this in all our email communications. From here, it will then be allocated through to our delivery team, who will then either allocate it to a recruiter to help you to go out to open market competition. And they'll speak to you about arranging a briefing call and further next steps. Alternatively, if it's a nominated worker request that you've raised, our nominated worker team will be in touch to let you know that they've received this requirement, and they will also reach out to the worker in question. If we go back home, any requirements that you have then raised, you have the opportunity to have a look at. So if we scroll slightly further down on the page, underneath my requirements, you can see here any requirements that you've raised and the status that they're at and how many candidates we've submitted to them. So it's a way for you to be able to keep an eye, and you can also click on these to then jump back in and have a look at the requirement itself that you've raised. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to your recruitment advisor who is managing the ongoing recruitment, or alternatively our help desk team who can then manage any further inquiries you have around the PSR framework and Fieldglass. Thank you.